Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone.
I am your host, Benjamin.
We are very excited about this episode. The purpose of it is so that y'all can get to know host Dana. He has been in business for a lot of years, 36. And there are a lot of things that we can learn from him and his story. And we start out the interview by asking Dana how he got started on his entrepreneurial journey.
Ready? Aim, fire.
Well, I worked for a lawn care company before I started Turf Plus. And as I did that, one day it just dawned on me, I could do this too. And that idea just caught hold. I got excited and started thinking about how I would do it. I'd buy a truck. I had very little money, so I bought a 71 Ford 150 for $850. And it needed some body work. I had never done that before, but I did some research, figured out how to do it. I did the body work and painted it and bought a tank. That was actually on credit. I had used up all my savings that I had at the time, but it only took me 6 months to pay it off. And I just kept rolling and went out and got that first customer.
That's good that you were able to pay it off so quick. Sounds like does that indicate that you were able to get some money pretty quick with your business, or did that take a while? What did that aspect look like for you?
It took a while to do the sales, but and sometimes I slept in late because I was way nervous about making a go of it. But sooner or later, things just slowly picked up, and I hate debt too. So whenever I had extra money, I paid down the debt. It was only like $2,500 or something around there, I believe.
Well, that's awesome that you're able to pull it off so quick. And hating debt is I feel like a healthy thing to hate, if you know what I mean. Yeah, that's something that we'll be talking about a lot in this podcast, is keeping down debt and saving, investing, and being an entrepreneur to achieve FIRE, which is financial independence, retiring early. Just talking about how you had the vision, you felt like you could do it, you stuck to that vision, and you just dove right in, even if you didn't have the capital at the beginning. And then as you mentioned, I'll use the term again, you hate debt, and then so you took down that debt really quick. Why don't you tell us really quick a little bit about how you got your first customers, how you started to get more and more customers, kind of the strategy that you had at the beginning to start?
My first customer was actually a customer of the company that I was working for, but he quit because the prices were too high. So I didn't feel uncomfortable or feel like I was doing anything wrong by approaching him and letting him know about our company, my company, and what our prices were and what we had to offer. And he was very willing to come with us. Back then, that was the day when telemarketing was happening a lot. Till people just got way sick and tired of it, including myself. And so we started up telemarketing and just trying to find people who are interested in a free lawn analysis and estimate. And anybody that was interested, we came out and did that for him. We tried to respect people's desires, and if they ever said no, we immediately accepted that as no. We didn't do any hard selling at all. We just wanted to let people know that we were there and that we wanted to service their lawn if they were willing.
And so just kind of for context, this was in 1985, correct?
Yes, yep. That was our first year.
Okay, perfect. Did you get into an office right away, or where were your headquarters in the beginning?
I was living with my brother, did it out of our home. And in fact, I don't know how many months, but several months later, I, because of the stress and everything, I approached him and said, "Hey, would you like to do this with me?" And his personality agreed with it. He enjoys doing that type of thing. He kind of did the office side of things, and I did the outdoor side, meaning the production. And he helped tremendously with the sales and the accounting side of things.
Oh, that's awesome. So did he have some previous expertise in accounting and all of that, or was it just his personality of hard work and learning how to do things?
Well, he was taking economics in college, and so accounting is part of that. And yeah, that fits his personality. He likes that kind of stuff.
Okay, awesome. So you started out on your own, kind of started to feel a little overwhelmed. So then you brought on your brother, and so he helped kind of move things along. He was that kind of how do you put it? Like I don't want to say like your driving force. That would be like your motivation, but like when your motivation is down or you're feeling overwhelmed, he was there to kind of be like, hey, we need to just keep going at this kind of thing. Am I correct in saying that?
Well, I think it was more of he distracted me from any time of moving that stress was keeping me from moving forward. He was working, and so I was working, and I think vice versa. I was working, and so he was working, and so I mean that just got me out of bed. There was no reason to be in bed. Things were happening. There was just a lot of pressure on me, feeling like everything was up to me, and that was just really heavy at times. And so doing it together just really took away any inertia. When I was stressed, instead of thinking stressful thoughts, we just moved forward. We just worked, and that was the added component that I needed in order to just keep moving at all times.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, that's a lot of things, or that's one thing I should say that I've heard a lot of people say, especially in the freelancing realm, or anything that has to do with the person that started it. Like they have the expertise to get going to provide the service or the product to the customer. That's so a business model that's really hands on. They say a lot that if they didn't work, then the business didn't work. So if they didn't work, they didn't make money. And so sounds like with your business model, like especially since we're talking about the beginning right now, you were wearing all of the hats, taking care of the office, the accounting, acquiring customers, servicing the customers' lawns, and all of that. Then you brought on your brother, your partner, and he was able to take off hands off, I guess you could say, would be a good term to describe it, right?
Yes, and he was. I guess this kind of goes back to what we were talking before. He was a workaholic, and so he would work, easily 16 hours a day, and so that really kept me moving. Also, there's a difference between producing and selling. Producing, you can easily see your progress, but selling is, sometimes you're making money and sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're selling, and sometimes people, you're talking to people that aren't interested. And so together we hired someone to do some telemarketing, and so that was taken off my shoulders, and so I could just really focus a lot on making the customers happy and servicing their lawns. So it was extremely helpful.
Okay, awesome. And that person that you hired on to do telemarketing, did you bring them like into? You said you were working out of your apartment. Did you just have them go over to your apartment to work, or what was kind of the logistics behind that? The I guess accommodations for that first employee.
That one actually worked out really well. We didn't have the accommodations to bring him in, but he was he was working on his master's. Seems like he was in his late 20s, very mature, very responsible. He worked out of his home. He'd call us up and say, "Hey, I'm ready to roll." And then when he was done, he'd call us up and tell us just exactly how the evening went and how many sales he had, and gave us all the information. And it worked out really well. There's a lot of people that you work with that don't have that maturity, and there's others that do. And we were able to find a really good man who was very mature and very responsible.
Awesome. So like the diamond in the rough kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
that's awesome. I'm glad you're able to find that guy. If you will, just kind of let us know a little bit about how you felt as the business started to progress, as you brought on your brother to kind of divide the tasks, as you brought in your first employee to take on the selling aspect. How did you feel as you saw the business kind of start to take shape or form, and kind of, in a sense, in different parts of the business, quote unquote, run itself with those other helping hands that were able to take on those tasks? How did you feel seeing that?
Oh, well, one of the feelings that came very often was kind of that yo-yo feeling where you get real excited. When you're doing a bank deposit, the money's coming in, and as soon as you write the checks and pay your bills, back in the day that we wrote checks, all of a sudden the money was gone, and you were making you're taking care of your customers, and things were going okay, but they weren't going as great as you hoped for, or at least as great as you would think, by all the money coming in. And I think a lot of times people look at business and think, wow, they make tons of money. They think of all the money that comes in, but don't realize all the money that goes out, or the money that is actually spent in order to service those customers, to pay for that insurance and to pay taxes and all the other expenses that are part of running a business and, taking care of customer needs.
Yeah, that's a really good point that you bring up. I feel like with a lot of podcasts and other materials, blogs and YouTube videos, whatever it is, at least that I've seen or heard, is they focus a lot on the gross income of the person that they're interviewing. Like, I don't know, let's think of a random title like, oh, this person made it to six figures in 6 months. But if you really look at it, which that sounds like an awesome achievement, which it is, I'm not going to say it's not. It definitely is. But if you look at kind of like the reality of that, what kind of went on behind that, obviously it was a ton of work, and they are probably netting. I mean, I can't say what their profit margin would be. I guess what I'm trying to say is we have to look kind of deeper into the situation and see the reality. I feel like with a lot of the content that's out there, it can be kind of a drug shot, I guess you could say, of people being like, oh, wow, these people are so successful. Let's jump right into entrepreneurship without kind of getting the full picture of what it was like for that person. So I guess kind of to illustrate this point, let's go back to your story. And why don't you tell us how much you were making per hour? I think I remember you saying that you had broken that down to per hour, how much you had been making in the beginning. And then after that, if you could talk about how long it took you to have a sustainable income. And what I mean by sustainable income, I mean like you were able to provide for your needs and be able to work on the business enough to where you would feel comfortable that it would support you.
That's a very interesting question. We figured out that first year that we made 10 cents an hour. So we put in lots and lots and lots. That's the final net after taxes and everything that we made. So I was way grateful that at that time I wasn't married. I didn't have a wife or family to support at that time. which isn't to say that you can't start a business when you're married and have children and other responsibilities. But for me, it worked out well that I was able to keep going, even though I had to get a job on the off season to be able to pay my bills and be able to live. We're more productive, meaning we got more sales per hour worked. We're able to service our lawns better. Our prices and chemical kept improving because of economies of scale. We're able to buy larger quantities. And you just, the longer you do something, the better you get at it. Each time you do something, as you know, you get better at it. You get quicker at it. You learn to do it just a little bit better each time. And all those little bit betters add up until, you're making more money.
Why don't you tell us kind of for a little bit more context of this 10 cents per hour net, how many hours would you say you're putting in per week or day, however you want to put it?
Oh, yeah. We were putting in most of the time averaging somewhere around 80 hours a week.
Oof.
So we're 6 days a week, and, we get up, we'd eat breakfast, and we're rolling and working clear into the night. Not all of it, just physical labor, some of it, brainstorming. How can we improve this? How can we do this differently? And when you're wearing lots of different hats, you're just going from one thing to another, trying to get everything done so that you can meet customer needs.
80 hours a week, was that between the two of you or was that per person?
Oh, per person.
Wow. Yeah, starting up a business is a beast, I guess you can put it that way. It's a lot of hard work, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. If it weren't for the fact that I had a job that I did during the winter, there's no way I could have survived it. There's just too much of a learning curve. You just got to do things over and over and over again until you get good at them, efficient at them, with, really good quality that the customer loves. And so if it weren't for, a very supportive brother, who, just loved to work, persistence. And in fact, I think that's why most companies go out of business. If a company makes enough to be able to pay their bills, most of them don't make enough in order to keep their business exciting to them. They feel like they're putting in tons and tons of hours. They're not making much money. Why continue? They figure I can work for someone else and make more with less headache. But if you stick to it, as the years go by, then it pays off. If you continue to be wise with your money, so that you're not just, buying every toy that's out there, you can make it work. And I think you gain that as a quality in your life, that you become wise with your money, that you don't waste it. You treat it with respect because it took a lot of work to earn it. And then you can become financially independent, where you're making the money that you need. There's food on the table and there's money in the bank, and you're preparing for retirement.
Awesome. That's a great place to be in. A little bit of a definition. People might be able to put the pieces together as we were talking here, but I feel like it would be kind of important to define what you mean by the off season. Here in Utah is where Turf Plus is based, and we have the 4 seasons. So during the winter, you aren't able to spray because of all the snow, and you decided to focus just on the lawn spraying, kind of as your bread and butter. So that brings up 2 questions for you. Why don't you tell us, why did you choose just doing the lawn care, or did you have other services that you kind of implemented?
Well, several years into the business, my brother ended up going to a corporation and working with them. I had a guy that I was working with that helped me service lawns. And he said, hey, let's sell Christmas trees and we'll split the profit on the off season, which the off season is when there's snow on the ground. We can't service lawns at that time. And so we went through it. He went and bought Christmas trees in Montana. And we opened up the lot and we sold and we were done. As Christmas came and went, we counted our profits and we broke even. We didn't make any money at all. And I thought, I spent a lot of money to break even. And it just, I don't know, to me, it wasn't worth it. So I decided at that time, Henry Ford said, if you were to do it all over again, what would you do? He said, I would do one thing and I would do it well. And that resonated with me. And I decided at that point that I would not do any other business. That during the winter, I would prepare for the summer, the spring, summer, fall, so they could be as productive as possible. When we originally started, we called it Turf Plus a whole lot more. And we thought that we would do lots of different things, spraying of trees and pest control and aeration and lots of things. We ended up, doing some of those things, but we didn't branch way out. And in fact, as the years have gone by, we've pretty much honed down the service to really specialize in an exterior bug barricade, meaning exterior pest control, and servicing the lawns to make them look green. And so we can do it efficiently and very professionally and make the lawns look great. So we can, because we just really focus on those things and do them over and over and over again, continually tweaking as we go. I think we have a great service for our customers.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that quote. Do one thing and do it well. Honing into that one thing that you have seen will work and then running with it. And yeah, maybe down the road, depending on your business model, you may be able to implement other things into your business. And like have other services or other products. If you're limited on help and resources, it would definitely be a good idea to do what you did and hone in on that one skill to make sure that your customers are happy, because that would have a kind of a ripple effect. If you have a happy customer, then they're going to share the service with their friends and neighbors. And that will help the business grow. What would you say now, as you have progressed 30-something years later, what would be your main way of growing? What brings more people to Turf Plus?
By far, word of mouth. I mean, we try to aid that in some other ways. We flag the lawn to let people know to stay off till it dries. But that also lets neighbors know that we service the lawn. But very few people call from that. By far the majority call and say, "Hey, my neighbor, or my friend, or my mom, or someone that they know told me that you do a great job. Would you analyze my lawn, give me a quote, and help me out?"
That comes from. And also the neighbors like, hey, my lawn looks great. I think you should look into this service. Or their neighbors looking at their lawn and approaching the neighbor and saying, wow, your lawn looks great. What service do you use? So that sounds like a very good business plan to do a great job, and then the business will come. So yeah, that's awesome. Let's see. So what do you do on the off season? What are some of the tasks that you do to prepare for the upcoming season?
Really, it's our time of year to really dig in and see exactly, take a deep look at our strategies, how we're doing, really spend a lot of time on how well are we servicing our customers. How do they feel about, all the different details how can we tweak them to make it a better customer experience. We just really try to dig down deep and find out, how well we're doing in everything that the customer is hiring us to do, and trying to figure out a way to do it even better next year. From how much can we pay employees to attract really good quality employees, to how much are we going to charge customers. We contact all our customers. What exactly will we say? Just a wide host of things. It's kind of our brainstorming and our planning time of the year. So it's really nice to not be, and not all companies can do this. A lot of businesses are open, 52 weeks of the year, and they can't shut down to do that. We do have that privilege of being able to do that. Also gives us time to, go on vacation. January is our time after we've gone through and planned out the next year. We take our vacations in January, and then in February we start ramping up so that we can start servicing lawns in March.
That's awesome. Yeah, sounds like that's a great opportunity with that business model to be able to take that time off and really try to figure out how you can improve and do better the next year. That's an awesome opportunity. So I guess we'll go ahead and end the episode. Is there any concluding thoughts you'd like to add?
No, I guess just to summarize my feelings about being an entrepreneur, it really has fit my personality. I've been able to enjoy what I do for a living. There's obviously ups and downs, but overall, I felt like I've contributed. So I felt good that way, and I've been able to each day tweak the business and improve it on a regular basis, and that's very, very fulfilling for me. It's been a great life.
Awesome. And that does it for our first episode. Thank you so much for listening.
We would love to hear from you. If you would like, you could leave a comment on our blog post for this episode. You can find that at firepreneurship.com/blogs/blog/1. Or if you would like to be featured on this podcast, you can send us an email with a voice recording and title that email Podcast Voicemail. We will review it, and we may include it in a future episode. We look forward to hearing from you. If you'd like to know more about Turf Plus and what they do, or if you're in Utah and would like to consider them as an option for your lawn care, which I would highly recommend, you can go to turfplusutah.com. Our mission at firepreneurship.com is to help people like you achieve FIRE, financial independence, retire early, through entrepreneurship. We offer educational materials like this podcast, but most of all, we offer outsourcing services to help you automate the business you started to bring you financial independence, so you can focus on what you love the most about running your business, or if you want, step away from your autonomous business altogether and retire early. It's time we signed our own Declaration of Financial Independence. Thank you for listening to the Firepreneurship Show at www.firepreneurship.com.